Hi, welcome back for another story time. We're having another story about our friend Henry. See what he's up to. I've got to compete with the birds outside, so if you hear the pigeons and the sparrows, I don't know if you can hear them. But it's too hot to have the windows closed, so yeah, I can hear the cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. That's the wood pigeons. Okay, back to the story. Moody Margaret casts a spell. This is story number 2. "You are getting sleepy," said Moody Margaret. "You are getting very sleepy." Slowly, she waved her watch in front of Susan. This is Moody Margaret here, trying to make Susan fall asleep by making her watch the watch and get tired. "So sleepy. You are now asleep. You are now fast asleep." "No, I'm not," said sour Susan. "When I click my fingers, you will start snoring." Margaret clicked her fingers. "But I'm not asleep," said Susan. Margaret glared at her. "How am I supposed to hypnotise you if you don't try?" said Margaret. "I am trying. You're a bad hypnotist," said Susan sourly. "Now it's my turn." "No, it's not. It's still mine," said Margaret. "You've had your go," said Susan. "No, I haven't." "But I never get to be the hypnotist," wailed Susan. "Cry baby, meanie, cheater, cheater, slap, slap." Susan glared at Margaret. Why was she friends with such a mean, moody bossy boots? Margaret glared at Susan. Why was she friends with such a stupid, sour sulker? "I hate you, Margaret," screamed sour Susan. "I hate you more," screamed moody Margaret. "Ah, shut up, landlubbers," shrieked Horrid Henry from his hammock in the garden next door. "Or the purple hand will make you walk the plank." "Ah, shut up yourself, Henry," said Margaret. "Yeah, Henry," said Susan. "You are stupid, you are stupid," chanted rude Ralph, who was playing pirates with Henry. Okay, so there's Moody Margaret looking over the fence next door. And there's Horrid Henry in the hammock and rude Ralph. You can see his sword there, Henry's sword. They're playing pirates. "You're the stupid," snapped Moody Margaret. "Now leave us alone, we're busy." "Henry, can I play pirates with you?" asked Perfect Peter, wandering out from the house. "No, you puny prawn," screamed Captain Hook. "Out of my way before I tear you to pieces with my hook." "Mum!" wailed Peter. "Henry said he was going to tear me to pieces." "Stop being horrid, Henry," shouted Mum. "And he won't let me play with him," said Peter. "Can't you be nice to your brother for once?" said Dad. No, thought Horrid Henry. Why should he be nice to that telltale brat? Horrid Henry did not want to play pirates with Peter. Peter was a world's worst pirate. He couldn't sword fight. He couldn't swashbuckle. He couldn't remember pirate curses. All he could do was whine. "Okay, Peter, you're the prisoner. Wait in the fort," said Henry. "But I'm always the prisoner," said Peter. Henry glared at him. "Do you want to play, or don't you?" "Yes, Captain," said Peter. He crawled into the lair of the purple hand. Being prisoner was better than nothing, he supposed. He just hoped he wouldn't have to wait too long. "Let's get out of here, quick," Henry whispered to rude Ralph. "I've got a great idea for playing a trick on Margaret and Susan," he whispered to Ralph. Ralph grinned. Horrid Henry hoisted himself onto the low brick wall between his garden and Margaret's. Moody Margaret was still waving her watch at Susan. Unfortunately, Susan had her back turned and her arms folded. "Go away, Henry," ordered Margaret. "Yeah, Henry," said Susan. "No boys." "Are you being hypnotist?" said Henry. "Margaret's trying to hypnotise me, only she can't because she's a rubbish hypnotist," said Susan. "Well, that's your fault," said Margaret, glaring. "Of course you can't hypnotise her," said Henry. "You're doing it all wrong." "And what would you know about that?" asked Margaret. "Because," said Horrid Henry, "I am a master hypnotist." Moody Margaret laughed. "He is too." "A master hypnotist," said Ralph. "He hypnotises me all the time." "Oh, yeah," said Margaret. "Yeah," said Henry. "Prove it," said Margaret. "OK," said Horrid Henry. "Give me the watch." Margaret handed it over. He turned to Ralph. "Look into my eyes," he ordered. Ralph looked into Henry's eyes. "Now watch the watch," ordered Henry, the hypnotist, swinging the watch back and forth. Rude Ralph swayed. "You will obey my commands," said Henry. "I will obey," said Ralph in a robot voice. They're just tricking the girls, aren't they? "When I whistle, you will jump off the wall," said Henry. He whistled. Ralph jumped off the wall. "See," said Horrid Henry. "That doesn't prove he's hypnotised," said Margaret. "You have to make him do silly things." "Like what?" said Henry. "Tell him he's got no clothes on." "Ralph, you're a nudie," said Henry. Ralph immediately started running around the garden shrieking. "Ah!" yelled Ralph. "I'm a nudie! I'm a nudie! Give me some clothes! Help! Help! No one look! I'm naked!" Margaret hesitated. There was no way Henry could have really hypnotised Ralph. Was there? "I still don't believe he's hypnotised," said Margaret. "Then watch this," said Horrid Henry. "Ralph, when I snap my fingers, you will be Margaret." "My name is Margaret," said Ralph. "I'm a mean, bossy boots. I'm the biggest, bossiest boot. I'm a frog face." Margaret blushed red. Susan giggled. "It's not funny," snapped Margaret. "No one made fun of her and lived to tell the tale." "See," said Henry. "He obeys my every command." "Wow," said Susan. "Are you really a hypnotist? Can you teach me?" "Maybe," said Horrid Henry. "How much will you pay me?" "He's just a big faker," said Margaret. She stuck her nose in the air. "If you're such a great hypnotist, then hypnotise me." Oops. Now he was trapped. Margaret was trying to spoil his trick. No way he was going to let her. Horrid Henry remembered who he was. The boy who got Miss Battleaxe sent to the head. He's the boy who terrified the bogey babysitter. He's the boy who tricked the tooth fairy. He could hypnotise Margaret any day. "Sure," he said, waving the watch in front of Margaret. "You are getting very sleepy," droned Henry. Let me see. Oops, there he is. "You are getting very sleepy. When I snap my fingers, you will obey my every command." Henry snapped his fingers. Margaret glared at him. "Well," said Moody Margaret. "Don't you know anything?" said Horrid Henry. He thought fast. That was just the beginning bit. I will complete part 2 once I've freed Ralph from my power." "Ralph, repeat after me. I am Sellotape." "I am Sellotape," said Rude Ralph, and then he belched. "I am Burping Sellotape," said Rude Ralph, and he caught Henry's eye, and they burst out laughing. "Ha! Susan, fooled you!" shrieked Henry. "Did not!" shrieked Susan. "Did too! Na 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 na!" Henry and Ralph ran round Margaret, whooping and cheering. "Come on, Margaret," said Susan. "Let's go do some real hypnosis." Margaret didn't move. "Come on, Margaret," said Susan. I am sellotape, said Margaret. No, you're not, said Susan. Yes, I am, said Margaret. Henry and Ralph stopped whooping. There's something wrong with Margaret, said Susan. She's acting all funny. Margaret, are you okay? Margaret, Margaret. Moody Margaret stood very still. Her eyes looked blank. Horrid Henry snapped his fingers. Raise your right arm, he ordered. Margaret raised her right arm. Huh? Thought Horrid Henry. Pinch Susan. Margaret pinched Susan. Ow! Yelled Susan. Repeat after me. I am a stupid girl. I am a stupid girl, said Margaret. No, you're not, said Susan. Yes, I am, said Margaret. She's hypnotised, said Horrid Henry. He'd actually hypnotised Moody Margaret. This was amazing. This was fantastic. He really was truly a master hypnotist. Will you obey me, slave? I will obey, said Margaret. When I click my fingers, you will be a chicken. Squawk, 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 cackled Margaret, flapping her arms wildly. What have you done to her? Wailed sour Susan. There she is, Moody Margaret, pretending to be a chicken. So do you think he's really done it? Has he really hypnotised her? Or is she playing along? Or is she hypnotised? Wow, said rude Ralph. You've actually hypnotised her. Horrid Henry could not believe his luck. If he could hypnotise Margaret, he could hypnotise anyone. Everyone would have to obey his commands. He'd be master of the world, the universe, everything. Henry could see it now. Henry, 10 out of 10, Miss Battleaxe would say. Henry is so clever. He doesn't ever need to do homework again. Oh boy, would he fix Miss Battleaxe. He'd make her do the hula in a grass skirt when she wasn't running round the playground mooing like a cow. He'd make the head, Mrs. Oddbod, just have chocolate and cake for school dinners and no PE, ever. In fact, he'd make Mrs. Oddbod close down the school. And as for Mum and Dad... Henry, you can have as many sweets as you like, Dad would say. No bedtime for you, Mum would say. Henry, watch as much TV as you want, Dad would say. Henry, here's your pocket money. Oh, this is Henry's dream. That's what he's imagining if he could hypnotise everybody. Get him to do what he wanted. 1,000 a week. Tell us if you need more, Mum would smile. Peter, go to your room and stay there for a year, Mum and Dad would say. Henry would hypnotise them all later, but first, what should he make Margaret do? Ah, yes, her house was filled with sweets and biscuits and fizzy drinks, all the things Henry's horrible parents never let him have. Bring us all your sweets, all your biscuits, and a fizz-whiz drink. Yes, master, said Moody Margaret. Henry stretched out in his hammock. So did rude Ralph. Oh, this was the life. Sour Susan didn't know what to do. On the one hand, Margaret was mean and horrible, and she hated her, and it was fun watching her obey orders for once. But on the other hand, Susan would much rather Margaret was her slave than Henry's. Unhypnotise her, Henry, said Sour Susan. Soon, said Horrid Henry. Let's hypnotise Peter next, said Ralph. Yeah, said Henry. No more telling tales, no more goody-goody vegetable eating, I'm Mr. Perfect. Oh boy, would he hypnotise Peter. Moody Margaret came slowly out of her house. She was carrying a large pitcher, like a jug, and a huge bowl of chocolate mousse. Here is your fizz-whiz drink, master, said Margaret. Then she poured it on top of him. What? Sputtered Henry, gasping and choking. And your dinner, frog face, she added, tipping the mousse all over Ralph. Oh, wailed Ralph. Na, 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 shrieked Margaret. Fooled you. Perfect Peter crept out of the purple hand fort. What's all this yelling? It must be pirate mutiny. Hang on, pirates, here I come, shrieked Peter, charging at the thrashing hammock as fast as he could. Crash! A slopping wet pirate captain and a moose-covered first mate lay on the ground. They stared up at their prisoner. Hi, Henry, said Peter. Hi, Captain. He took a step backwards. Lord, High, Excellent Majesty. He took another step back. We were playing pirate mutiny, weren't we? Die, worm! Yelled Horrid Henry, leaping up. Mom! He shrieked Peter. That was bad timing for Peter. Henry is very cross with Margaret. That's the end of the story. More Horrid Henry tomorrow. Bye.